Hello there, friends. It is Miss Leslie from the Anacortes Public Library, and I'm so excited you are here for watercolors, crayons, and collage. We're going to have fun doing some creating today, and I'm going to first go over the supplies that you'll need. And you can always pause this after we go over the list, and if you don't have something, you can go and get it. Okay, here we go. So you should have been able to see this list of supplies that we've got here. So I'm just going to go over all of them. So white cardstock or paper, there we go. Crayons, I put mine in a little container so it's easy for me to see all of them. Watercolor paints, I've just got a really fun set of watercolors there. And paper from Collage. What I did for mine is I went through a magazine and just got some big pieces of paper, and then I just cut them. So I might have started with that and cut them into strips. So you can either do strips or you can find something else for the collage part of it. A glue stick is handy. I've got a paintbrush and some water for my watercolors. It helps a lot to have some paper towels. And also I like having just a piece of scrap paper, so when we're doing our watercolors you can test out what the colors look like. And then I've got a big piece of cardboard protecting my table, so you might want to do something like that, or some newspaper to help protect your table. And with watercolors you don't make as much of a mess, but I put on an apron to protect my clothes, and then your awesome imagination. So go ahead and gather, oh, and I think I forgot to say, a pair of scissors. So if you don't have any of these things, you can pause this and go gather them, and then I'll meet you back here for the things we're going to make today. Welcome back, friends. We are going to go ahead and get started, and I'm so excited. So I want to show you something that sort of gave me an idea for this Zoom class. Is one of the things that I love when I go home from work and I get the mail. I love it when I find something like this, something that a friend addressed to me, and I get so excited to go ahead and read those. And this was a card from a friend to my husband and I, and she lives all the way in Chicago, so we loved getting that in the mail. And I was thinking, you know, with us staying safe and being at home, it's really nice to mail things to our friends that we have and family that maybe we haven't been able to see for a while. So the first thing we're going to make is a card, and there is a sample of one that I did, and this is using crayon. So first I did the crayon part, and then I did the watercolor. And you can sort of see, so this is called crayon resistance. So where the crayon is, the watercolor can't soak into that part of the paper. So here where I've got the hearts, it goes a little bit into the hearts where there's some empty space, but mostly it stays away from that. So that's a fun thing that we're able to do. So we're going to make a card, and then we're also going to make some bookmarks. So the first thing we're going to do is take 2 pieces of cardstock, and I want you to fold them in half. So we're going to do what I call a taco fold, as though you were doing a taco shell to eat a taco, like that. And one we're just going to put aside for the card. And then the second piece, we're going to fold in half. And then we're going to cut that in half. And you can do this, or your grown-up can do it, whichever makes most sense. So I'm just going to use my scissors, because you always want to be really safe with those scissors. So there we go with that. And this piece I'm just going to put aside for later. And these I'm going to cut into strips that we're going to paint for bookmarks. And if you want to be really precise, you can get a ruler out, but I like to just sort of eyeball it and make them different widths. All right, so there's some bookmarks. So I'm going to put my scissors aside, and now we'll do the next part. So for your card, you can use this piece of paper here, and I just did some fun drawing and coloring, and then mine says Leslie loves, and then I drew pictures of things that I love, books and riding my bike and flowers. So if you want, you can just color a picture like that, or the other thing you can do is you can trace your hand and decorate your hand. So I did this, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So you can then cut that out, and my hand's sort of big because I'm a grown-up, but I bet your hand would fit on this card, or you could even just put this on a piece of paper to send it, or you could even turn it over and write your message on the back of the hand. So that's sort of saying hi to your friend. So how we do this, I'm going to show you. So just put your hand on the paper like this, and you can either do it on the card if your hand is smaller. You could do it right on there. And this would be a good thing for a grown-up to help you with, to trace it. And then I just took a crayon and traced around my hand, and there I've got my hand. And now I'm going to decorate it. So this is our coloring time. So you can decide if you want to color a picture like this, or if you want to decorate a hand like this. And I'm going to decorate my hand. So I will see you after I'll come back and check in with you after I've done my coloring. Okay. So now here is my hand that I decorated. And one thing about when you're doing your coloring, if you leave like space, if you don't color it all the way in, that gives places for the watercolor to go. So we're going to go ahead and paint this with watercolor, and then I'm also going to do a few bookmarks with the watercolor. So I'm going to get my watercolor ready. So I've just got my water here, and I'm going to do this in light blue because that's my favorite color. So I'm going to do part of it in light blue. And then I like having a piece of paper here so I can see how thick that color is. For me, that's a little bit too dense, so I want a little more water to it. Do you see that? How this has a lot of paint, and then the more water you put into it, the more you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and paint, and then we'll check back in. So now we're going to do the bookmarks, and I'm going to show you a couple I made earlier. So this one I did a rainbow stripe on, so I'm going to paint this one, and then after it dried I wrote "Reading makes me happy." And this one I used, I took a cue from Miss Lisa last week, and I used an eraser from a pencil and a Q-tip to make some polka dots. And on this one I did some blue ahead of time and let it dry, but on the one I'm going to show you now I'm just going to go ahead and do it on the white. So we'll go ahead and make those. Here we go. Now we're going to make a bookmark with collage with some paper. And this is a sample of one that I made earlier. And so this paper I got out of a magazine, and then I found this L in a magazine. And then this yellow piece of paper is some scrapbook paper that I just had a little snippet of, so I used that. So that's one type of collage bookmark that you can make with paper from, you might have around the house or from a magazine. But today I'm going to do something different. So our friend Morgan, who works with us here at the library, he's put together some packets. So when books get to a point where they're really old and we can't check them out anymore, we don't like to just get rid of the books if they've got really cool artwork. So we've been putting them aside, and Morgan put together these little packets of some book art because they're such cool book art. This is from an Elephant and Piggy book. You might recognize Piggy. And this is a Kevin Henkes book. This is Chrysanthemum. And then, of course, Calvin and Hobbes is so awesome. So I have a page, and we have these that you guys can come and get from us. So we're going to send you, if you want, an email. So if you want some of this, send us an email and let me know, and we can get this for you at curbside pickup. You can get some of that. So I'm going to use a page from a Chrysanthemum book. See this awesome artwork here? And there's so many cool things you could do with this, but I'm going to use this picture here and then some scrap paper I had to make a bookmark. So I'm going to make mine on green because I had that green paper. And like this is an old calendar from way back when in April of 2017 that's blank on the back, so I'm going to use that to cut up too. So you can use all sorts of things for your collage. So I'm going to make this bookmark and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. And for this you'll need your glue stick and you'll need your scissors and some paper, and that's it. Okay, friends, I hope you've had fun making a card and some bookmarks, and maybe you're going to use some of those bookmarks yourself, or maybe you're going to send them to a friend. But I want to show you some other ideas of things that we can do with the crayon and collage. So this is the hand that I painted earlier, and this is the one, it's still drying just a little bit. So what I would do with this one is I would use my scissors and I would cut that hand out, and then it looks something like this. And then you can glue this onto a card and have that be your card that you mail to somebody. Or, and this one goes a little bit over the edge, and I think that's sort of fun too. You could always bend those if you need it to get in an envelope. But I think what I might do with this one is I might turn it over and write my message on the back here and then send it that way. Because it says hi right there. It's sort of hard to see. I'm going to go over it in a darker color. So that's a cool thing. So this one I made a little while ago and the paint's dry. So one thing you can do, once the watercolor's dry, is you can add to it. And if you want it to show more, just go over it again. Because I originally put my hi in red, but then it didn't show with my red heart. So that's something you can do after you've finished. So that's one idea. And then another option you can do is this one here. I want to have some paper behind it so you can see. So I had painted this heart, and I had done one side a little bit darker and one side a little bit lighter. And then I had done some collage strips with some paper I'd cut out from a magazine, and I just did sort of a strips like this, and then I'm going to glue this heart on here and make that another card too. So that's another card that I can send to somebody. And another idea is, so these are the collage strips I made earlier, And I just did strips of all different colors. And I had done this, I started this painting here. So this is something you can just make to have on your refrigerator or put it in your bedroom, or you could mail this too. You could fold it and mail it. But I started with crayon. So I used the crayon to draw my hills here and some of this grass and these flower stems. And then I just did an outline of the sun and some orange and yellow rays. And then I painted with watercolor the yellow. And then I did this in a few shades of green, and I went over it a little bit more to make some of that green darker, and used a different green here to make it lighter. And the cool thing with the crayon resist is then you can see where the crayon is. It shows through the watercolor. And then for the sky, I just added a whole lot of water to blue and did just a sort of a blue wash to it. And then I let that all dry, and then I used some of these strips. So this would be another flower that I made. So I made that one. And for this next one, I would just cut that for the stem and glue it down. And then the cool thing about these strips is you can do it any way you want. You can paint them into different shapes if you want. But the way I made this one was I just sort of laid them out like this before I glued them down. And you could mix up colors, so it doesn't have to be all pink or all one color. You could add some different colors to your flower, make it really colorful. And you can make it as involved as you want it to be, or you can cut your strips even smaller and have them come out from the center that way. So it's your creation. You can do it however you want. And then this was just a piece from this magazine page, and I just cut one of those out and glued that down for the center, and that made a fun little picture. So those are all sorts of different things that you can do with crayons and watercolor and collage. And one of my favorite things about all of this, doing the collage part of it, is that you're using things that you might otherwise just recycle and you're making it into art, which I think is fun. So it makes you look at paper in a different way. So thank you so much for joining us. And before we sign off, I want to show you one more thing that you can check out from the library. So this is something new that we just started recently. So I'm going to clear off my space a little so you can see it. So there's 3 different kinds of kits that we currently have available that you can check out. So one is a magnifying glass, which just comes in this very simple container. And you get a magnifying glass, and Miss Rhea put together some cool websites that you can go to learn about using it. But that's really fun to take out and about into nature and explore different things. So there's the magnifying glass. There is this is the microscope kit. And it tells you all the things that are on here. And then this gives you some cool directions, and you get to check them out for 7 days. And this is this really awesome heavy-duty microscope that we have, and then some slides in there, and then an instruction book. And you can look at some pre-made slides that we have, and then you can also make your own slides. One of the families I know went and found a bug, and they looked at that. And then to return it, the instructions are all in here about how to return it too. So it tells you right there. So these check out for 1 week, and then you return them where you would pick up your books in the same place. And then the last kit is our rock painting kit that Miss Lisa put these together. And it has everything you need to paint rocks. So it's got this great instruction sheet and some paper plates, some ideas of different rocks. We even give you a rock to use, a couple of rocks to use, and then you can go find some of your own rocks. And paints and brushes and paint pens and good ideas of things you can make. And there'll be more kits coming too. So to check those out, you just go to the book list on the website, and they're called STEAM kits. And you can put them on hold and then come pick them up at the library. And then one other thing, I almost forgot, that we wanted to show you, and this is down in the comments if you want to make one of these. So we have this fun fish that we did. So we have this template for you. You can of course draw anything you want, but here's a fun fish template, and there's its tail. And this one I'm in the process of making, you can see, is about that same size. And this one that I already made, I cut a little bit smaller, so it's like, maybe that's the mom fish and this is the daughter or son fish. And so I did an eye and a little heart for a mouth, and then I just did a bunch of curlicues with my white crayon, and then they really show up when you go ahead and you paint with watercolors. And then you also do the fin here, that's this piece, and you cut that out and you glue it on, and you've got a fish. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you'll join us for another Zoom craft class. Just you can sign up ahead of time, or you can do just like you did with this one and come and find it after the class. Take care and let us know if we can help you with anything. Just give us a call in the library. Bye, friends.